side. Murphy shooting, save a rebound on the view.
Hey everyone, I'm Casey. You're watching the Red Rubber Duckling All Sports Network. Welcome to another episode of the 2024 March Madness Charity Drive. And for this one, we are doing the America East Conference. And keep in mind, the links to the Sandy Hook Promise are in the description down below. But it's such a good tournament that I have to bring in a special guest. And I can make him appear with us. Snap my fingers. 3, 2, 1.
Damn.
It's a logical Canadian.
How the fuck did I get here?
Magic. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up the bracket. So here you go. We got the top half. Keep in mind, the teams in the America East, the 4 semifinalists are going to be reseeded. So which means if UMBC beats UMass Lowell, and God forbid that happens, and Vermont wins, then Vermont will take on UMBC. So that's basically how it works. And speaking of Vermont, let's go over the first matchup between Vermont and Albany. Vermont having themselves a fantastic year. They're at 15-1 in the America East.
Vermont, this is nothing new with Vermont. They're a good basketball school in the America East. This is a Vermont team that's had yet another strong year. They've proven themselves once again to be the powerhouse of the conference. Not a big surprise here. So I wasn't really expecting much with them, just to maintain form. Got shit done, patched up the holes that they needed to from last year, and what do you know? They found themselves back at number one. For you, Albany, It's kind of the same story. They just kind of snuck in because NJIT was complete and utter dog dick. So you want me to just kind of slot it in this one? No, I'm serious. If you look at the fucking standings of NJIT, it is horrific. It is horrifically bad.
Yep. Vermont actually started out 8-0 in America East play. Guess who their only loss is to?
Who?
NJIT.
Go figure. Go fucking figure.
But of course, that didn't stop Vermont from going 15-1. Of course, you have Shamir Boogs going ham. He has 5.2 rebounds a game, as well as 1.6 steals per game. And TJ Lawrence, their leading scorer, with 12 points a game. Let's go over Albany, because they just made it into the tournament, going 5-11 in America East play.
Best being Albany, too kind.
Yeah. Yep, they started out going 2-0 in America East play with wins over NJIT and Binghamton. Then they lost 3 straight. And then it's basically like a cycle. They win a game, they lose 3 straight. They win a game, they lose 3 straight. Currently, they go into the tournament losing back-to-back games. But Sebastian Thomas is their leading scorer with 19.2 points per game, 5 assists a game, as well as 2 steals a game.
Yeah.
So Sebastian Thomas has his work cut out for him if they're going to want to beat Vermont. Now let's go over the 2-7 matchup. And it features a logical Canadian University, a.k.a. UMass Lowell, going up against UMBC. This is your 2-7 matchup.
Yep.
Logical. This is your neck of the woods.
Well, yeah, my neck of the woods, literally, like fucking 15 minutes down the road. God forbid the fucking traffic there actually fucking sucks. Just like our fucking hockey team this season.
Hey, yo.
No, seriously, the fucking Lowell traffic is terrible.
Do not put hockey in my college basketball channel.
I was like, oh, fucking... No, seriously, like... Allende Hakeem been the fucking driving force of the team. 15 points average per game. Dude's been on fucking fire this year. Quinto Mincy, been another guy that's been very reliable for us this year. Rounding off, like, this is a very well rounded group. Max Brooks, Waldorf, Maryland native. Kid's been
Hmm.
pretty solid this year. Hasn't been, always around, but he's been very productive when he is around. And I think that's what this team's been needing. It's a down year for them, I guess, in a sense that they were undefeated at home last year. Didn't win all their home games this year. Had that big win against Georgia Tech early on in the season. I guess that kind of helped them out a little bit morale wise, which kept them into shape. And for, like, honestly, like, for USL, I'm excited to see where this team goes. For and honestly, for UMBC, I'm not really seeing much that I really like. But there's a couple names that I do like on that team. Like in Dion Brown from Massachusetts, by the way, from the western part of the state. Dion Brown, fucking 19 points per game. That's the man you want to keep your eye on if you're the Riverhawks. After that, it just starts to drop off, and it starts to drop off hard. Marcus Banks from Hampton, Virginia. He's been putting up solid numbers, 14-8. Kadarius Smith, 11.7. And Bryce Johnson at 10.8. Again, and after that, it's all single digit point per game production. Whereas Lowell's been very consistent and very well rounded with their offensive production and defensive coverage when it comes to these big games, both out of conference and in conference, because every game matters regardless of where you stand. But it's the conference games that I guess that mean more in the long run. Like,
Yep.
and Lowell knows that we've been in this road last year. We made it all the way to the American East Finals. We fell to Vermont. Granted, that was Vermont. They were fucking strong last year, and they're strong again this year. So I guess I'm not expecting anything really different, but I'm also kind of expecting a little bit of an improvement on how we handle our matchups. And UMBC is going to be that first stop, because if we can get by UMBC, and we know they've been fucking making upsets before, just ask Virginia a couple years ago. Just ask Virginia fucking 6 years ago. See how they remember UMBC.
Yep. So the Riverhawks, as we mentioned, they started 5-0 before losing to Vermont. Now they go into the tournament losing back-to-back games to Vermont and Maine. And what did you say was your top scorer for the Riverhawks?
It was A&A Hakeem, the senior out of
A&A
Washington
Akeem.
D.C. Yes, he's actually
Yep.
He's actually the leader right now, 14.8 points per game.
Right. And also 5.2 assists per game, as well as 1.9 steals a game. And Max
Right.
Brooks, you also got to watch out for.
Yeah,
With
he's a
seven,
sneaky
with
one.
7 point.
He could take.
Mhm.
That's a dude that could take a rebound when needed. Dude that could take the ball, that could block the ball on the shots when needed. He's the guy that can get under your skin. Don't let him. Like, if you're a team, you shouldn't want him to get under your skin, but he's gonna do it on either way because he is that guy to do it.
Yep, 7.5 rebounds a game, as well as 2.2 blocks per game, and a field goal percentage of 63.2%. That's what you're getting from Max Brooks. Let's go over UMBC. You said there wasn't much to go over. 6-10 in conference play. They lost their first couple games to eventually the top two seeds, Vermont and UMass Lowell, and it's been a roller coaster ever since. They go into the tournament winning 4 of their last 6, but they lost their regular season finale against Binghamton at home. Dion Brown is a guy that the Riverhawks need to watch out for with 19 points a game, as well as 50.9% in field goal percentage. And he also has 7.7 rebounds a game and 1.3 steals per game.
Right.
So, are you pretty confident in your Riverhawks or not?
I'm confident in this team, but the question is though, is if they could stop Dion Brown. Because if they can shut down Dion Brown and the other main focal points of that offense, then I think they have what it takes. But again, it's either well roundedness or pretty much a LeBron James extraordinaire. A well rounded
Yep.
team 9 times out of 10 is going to do a lot better than a practical one man show. And that's what I think
Yep.
UMBC is. I think they're kind of more one man show with everyone else like either not too far behind or just really lacking. And that's not to
Right.
discredit UMBC because I think they have potential, but with the season stats, I just don't see it really playing out to their advantage. If they cannot get by the well roundedness and they can't figure it out, then they're going to be in serious trouble.
Right. So let's now go over to the other side of the bracket. You have your 3-6 matchup. It's the Bryant Bulldogs taking on the Maine Black Bears. So what do you think about this matchup? Have you seen Bryant and Maine?
I've seen more of Maine because, like, obviously not only other sports, hockey, but but Maine itself is well rounded as well. They're like Lowell in a sense, but they're kind of like a step down from Lowell. Maine is very similar in terms of play style. They're similar as to how they maintain their order. And Maine, like I said, Maine's not a joke. Like we'll only beat them
No.
by a couple. The one time they met during conference play, and they've had other matchups too. They beat fucking I forgot who was they beat. That was like a big name, but if they can manage to beat good schools, the Bryant is a team to not Bryant. Maine's a good team that really can play spoiler. And I know Bryant's the number 3 seed, but again, like it all comes down to can Maine play spoiler, and I think Maine can play spoiler. They're not as well rounded as Bryant is, judging from Philip Tovey from Hungary, only getting 15 points per game. But like again, this is a team that needs to, if they want to play spoiler and move on, they have to play spoiler. There's no other way. They have to play spoiler here.
Yep. And Bryant also had a huge upset. They defeated number 10 Florida Atlantic earlier in the season, 61-52. Bryant started out pretty well. They went 5-0 before losing to Vermont because of course. Now they go into the tournament winning 5 of their last 8, but it's not what you think. They started out 3-0 in that stretch. Then they lost 3, including 2 games to UMass Lowell. That's why they're number 3 seed instead of number 2, even though they're
I guess
tied at 11 and
tiebreaker.
5. Yep. But they did win the last couple games between NJIT, and Albany. And Earl Timberlake, that name sounds familiar. And it should sound familiar. 3.9 assists per game, a 62% field goal percentage, and 9 rebounds a game. Now, illogical. Contain yourself. Sheriff Gross Bullock is your leading scorer with 18.1 points per game for the Bryant Bulldogs. And now let's go over Maine, which you said is not much of a pushover because they are 7-9.
Yeah. Again, despite their numbers, they're not exactly a pushover. They can keep shit close. They've proven that. And if Maine can keep it close against Bryant, they may have them. But it may not. Okay, they may be like fucking. They may come out and be like, "Oh, look at these guys. We got such a good lead on them." Never fucking sleep on Maine because they can fucking wake the fuck up and they can make you lose track of your fucking focus. You're not focused. Guess what? Shit. Guess what, Sherlock? You're going back down the fucking mountain.
Yeah. So going into conference play, they lost their first 3 games. And then they got, of course, they had a season split against Bryant in the regular season. Now they go into the tournament winning their last couple games, including a big win over UMass Lowell. And Bryant and Maine is going to be one of the more recent. It's going to be the more underrated games in the American
Exactly.
East. And you mentioned this name, Peter Filippovity. Filippovity. He's got 14.4 points per game. He has a field goal percentage of 56.6, and he also has 7.7 rebounds a game. So the guy's no joke.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and go over the 4-5 matchup. It's New Hampshire going up against Binghamton, and this looks to be one of the closer matchups that we have in this tournament.
Closer on
What do you
paper in
think?
terms of numbers, but I don't know. Something about me does not trust Binghamton. We've seen this song and dance before. Binghamton has come into these tournaments. Their rate are usually pretty good, but they just collapse. Something with them just does not stick. And like I don't know what the fuck it is with Binghamton, but they need to figure it out. If they want a legitimate shot of making it past the first and second rounds, they need to get by the hurdle. Because there's something holding them back. I cannot exactly put my finger on it because I'm not a basketball expert. But something is holding back Binghamton, and it's plaguing the team. It's plaguing their performances. It's plaguing their numbers. It's plaguing the team's performance in the tournament. This is why they can never get by teams like Lowell, Maine, or New Hampshire, or Vermont, because they don't have a system in place to really get over that edge. They just need one solid. They need a couple solid players to really get there. New Hampshire's not that far behind in terms of similarity either, but at least New Hampshire could at least make a good run and actually try. But even then, New Hampshire tends to fall apart on some occasions. Even last year, we beat New Hampshire in the first round. I think when we played them, it wasn't pretty.
Mm,
They tried, but they just couldn't get over the hurdle. Too many mistakes, and when you make too
yep,
many mistakes, your play suffers because of it. If New
yep,
Hampshire can limit their mistakes and they can keep Binghamton out of it, this game is all theirs. If Binghamton can, cut the shit with the choke jobs and they can actually make New Hampshire collapse, then they got it. But
yeah,
it comes to the matter of who sucks more.
yeah. So for New Hampshire, they started out winning 4 of 6 to start America East play. But you mentioned earlier the choke jobs because the Wildcats are going into the tournament losing 4 straight games, including losses to U Albany and UMBC and even Binghamton, who they're going up against right now.
Right.
Clarence Daniels is going to be the guy to watch out for when you're watching New Hampshire. He has 19.6 points per game and a field goal percentage of 46.3%. And he even leads the team in rebounds per game at 9.3. If New Hampshire can limit the choke jobs like you mentioned, they can have a decent shot against Binghamton. Let's go over the Bearcats right now. So you mentioned that Binghamton has also had their rough rough patch of bad luck.
Yeah,
Now they go
it's
in.
again like Binghamton. Like I said, this is a team that's just not really had their fucking shot. They're basically the Washington Capitals before they won the cup. That's exactly what it is. This is like the Philadelphia 76ers. If we're talking, NBA comparisons, they're like the 76ers. A team that has the talent, but just flops. And they cannot
Yeah,
afford that. They want kids to come to their school. They want these athletes to come and play for them, but they see this fucking performance year after year, and they gotta ask themselves like, what the fuck do we have to do to change our fucking momentum? Because something ain't working. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's the players they recruit. I just don't know. But if this is really their year, they got to come out and prove it. They really got to come out and
Yeah,
prove it.
yeah. Binghamton is a team embodiment of it's not how you start, it's how you finish. They started losing. They started conference play losing their first 5 games, and they're currently on a 3-game winning streak with wins over Maine, New Hampshire, and UMBC. And Timu Cherney is the guy you need to watch out for the Bearcats. He has 14.8 points per game, a field goal percentage of 50.9%, as well as 1.5 blocks per game. So him and the Bearcats need to turn that up to 100 because, as you mentioned, these two teams, New Hampshire and Binghamton, they're known for choking. It's all going to come down to who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Exactly.
All right, so that is a look on the full bracket. Now, Illogical, what I've been doing throughout these tournament previews, I don't go over every matchup. I would just pick who wins it outright. Like, who's
Okay.
going to win the tournament overall. So, looking at this bracket, what do you think is going to happen?
The biased part of me wants to say, well, so bad. Trust me. The biased part of me wants to say it's so bad. But if I have to be completely honest, I think this is a year where Vermont goes back to back. Vermont's got the talent. Vermont's got the speed. Vermont's got everything. The offense, the defense, the rebounding, the blocking. They've got everything. They're essentially a damn good team and can make a run at the NCAA March Madness tournament. This is a Vermont team that has everything well rounded. Their starting five, their bench rotation, their offensive chances, their defensive blocking, everything that they need to go right for them has been going right. As much as I want to say Lowell, I think Vermont goes back to back this year, and I think they go back to March Madness.
Yeah, I know how much you want me to say UMass Lowell right now, but
Trust
right now
me.
Vermont, yeah, but right now Vermont just looks like the more well-rounded team. Like, this is a powerhouse in the America East, whether you like it or not. Because whenever you think of March Madness, you're thinking, Vermont has to be one of the teams coming out of the America East. And they've shown that throughout the last few years. And so, I hate to say it, Illogical, I think Vermont is going to take home the America East crown once again.
Makes sense.
All right, so that's going to do it for the America East preview. Huge shout out to Illogical Canadian for joining me. I'm going to put the link to his channel in the description down below, as well as the link to his charity drive. He's doing a year-long charity drive for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I think it's a very good charity as well. Feel free to check that out, as well as the link to the Sandy Hook Promise. But the next time I see you, we're going to go over the Southland Conference, much like the Ohio Valley, but with a lot more chaos, potentially. But I'm Casey. You've been watching the Red Rubber Duckling All Sports Network, and this is
Illogical Canadian.
And until we meet again, we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Take care.